Hi guys, my name is Lauren from Club Doncaster Foundation. Today I am joined with Kirsty Smith, Doncaster Rovers Bells first team player and captain. We've got Ben Howe, Doncaster Dons first team player. We've also got Andy Butler, Doncaster Rovers first team player and Doncaster Bells manager. How are we all doing today, guys?
Good.
Yeah, good.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. So the purpose of today's little interview, it's time to talk day. So we're just trying to raise awareness around mental health. As a foundation, this is something that's close to our heart and that we try and get out, especially trying to get people talking about it. So we're going to focus mainly on lockdown and how it's affected us in different ways. So guys, just please feel free to say your thoughts, anything that's affected you that you feel might benefit somebody else. So first question, guys, I'll start with Andy first. How has lockdown affected you and your day-to-day life?
Well, at the start, lockdown affected me massively because my job was playing football and the football stopped. And unfortunately, after that, I got released from my contract as a footballer and then had no job after that. So lockdown affected me massively. But I persevered and went on my hour running sessions during the day to keep my mind active and to keep busy, which is important. And luckily, kept myself fit and earned a contract with Doncaster Rovers. But the social side of it is massive. Like you forget and take for granted how important your friends and family are. You really do. You don't see them as much, and you can, especially like your parents who have been there every single day for you, and you don't get a chance to go around just because. Well, my dad's 65 and my mum's 62, so you don't want to put them at risk in case I bring anything to them and vice versa. So we literally talking to them on FaceTime and on phone call. And then even when we've had birthdays, you're literally doing a birthday like present through a window, which again, is harsh, especially when you've got two young kids as well. They want to see the grandparents and love staying over at them. And you can see in your parents' face how much it means to them to actually see people. So on the social side of it, I think it's been awful. I mean, we got to look after them first and foremost, but at the same time, people's mental states and mental health is important as well. So, like I say, personally, I found it tough not seeing people, not doing day-to-day things that you take for granted.
And you two other guys, you're both from sporting areas, so you football and rugby. You see a lot of people day in, day out, training, friends, fans, etc. What's it been like for you, Kirsty? How has it affected your day-to-day life?
I think obviously with Bells, it's been a huge effect for us because obviously we can't train, we can't play. So that's part of my routine. That's how I structure my weeks. Obviously around training and around playing, especially on a weekend, that's my outlet, and obviously that's stopped. So it's been really hard, like Andy was saying, socially as well. Again, that's my outlet, going to training, mixing with the girls, having that conversation, having that people around me. I'm fortunate that I can still work, that I still have to go to working for the NHS. But again, that's obviously work. But when it comes to playing side of things and obviously seeing family, seeing friends, I really do miss that quite a lot. And I know that people around me are missing that as well. I was only saying the other day to a colleague of mine that this lockdown seems to be tougher than the other ones, and that everyone seems to be feeling it a little bit more than the previous lockdowns. And again, I think it's because it's just people are not being able to see the family, people are not being able to see the friends as well, and getting out there.
Ben, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think similar to what you just said. I think when it first started back in March last year, I don't think any of us had any idea that we'd be where we are now still. I think that's what making it so tough now. Just the fact that we're still in the same place, almost a year on. I think me personally, it's just massively frustrating. I mean, we just started our season when it first came. At first, they put it on hold, so you're still thinking in your back of mind, we're going to get back to it. But
yeah,
when they cancelled the season, you knew then that it was going to be a long layoff before back in pre-season again. So it was, it was so tough to kind of stay motivated with nothing to work towards in a way. But yeah, so I started working, delivering medication, just more than anything to get myself out of the house, and I think keep myself sane, because going from a very active lifestyle of going to university and then training and playing to absolutely nothing overnight was, I don't think I'd been able to cope with it. So just applied for as much as I could, tried to get out, get working, and then luckily the club kept the faith in most of the players and said, we're gonna give you all new deals. We'll go again next year. So I think getting that news was enough for me to kind of push forward and pick up my training again. I think it's hard to train at home sometimes when you're so limited with kit and equipment. It's so much easier when you can go to a gym, when you can see people. But I think, knowing that I had a contract lined up for this season to go again was enough for me to get out running, get doing stuff, and just keep motivated. But similar, I think I'm lucky in a way that I live with my parents still, so I think still seeing them every day is good for me, because they keep me on my toes as well. They keep me motivated. So that's something that I'm quite fortunate that. I mean, I don't know if they feel the same way about me. I think they want me gone now, but I feel quite fortunate in such a way that I still see them every day. So that helps definitely.
I mean, as well, so obviously we're in lockdown 3 now. So we've obviously been in and out of lockdowns. We thought last year life was getting back to a little bit of normality. Shops open, food places, you could go on holiday, pubs, etc. Gyms especially, they were reopened. And then obviously we enter this new year and we're back into another lockdown. So the next question is, what is the biggest challenge you have faced during any one of these lockdowns, really? So I know we touched on a little bit around obviously keeping ourselves fit and stuff like that, but think about it from like the mental point of view. What's been your biggest challenge and why? So Kirsty, we'll start with you. Biggest challenge and why. It can be anything.
I think it's opening up to people and actually saying to people or making that, initiating that conversation. I'm normally really busy, I'm really active. Like I said, I have a set routine and I just go about it. And I tend to just kind of forget about the other things in terms of having conversations or initiating conversation. I think I've had to make more of an effort to do that, obviously with family and with friends, and just saying, look, I'm a bit fed up, like, and just opening up and having to express how I feel more than what I would do on a normal week that we're not in lockdown. And just owning it and being honest really is something that I've had to come to terms with, and just own how I feel really.
And obviously this is one of the reasons why we are doing what we're doing, and Time to Talk Day is very important. It is important to talk to people, and especially during these times it's even more important to do so, because bottling it up is not going to make you feel any better. You just obviously got to make sure that the people that you are talking to you trust, and that you just trust their feedback as well, obviously, to help you. Andy, what about yourself? What's been your biggest challenge?
I think Ben picked up on it. I think motivation to keep doing things. I think it's easy enough to just sit inside and, well, it's not. It's ridiculously hard actually. If you think when you think about it, just sitting inside all day, you actually get cabin fever. But yeah, I think you're right there with what you said as well. Talking to the right people and getting the right feedback, because sometimes you can talk to the wrong people and you become wayward in your thoughts and stuff like that. So again, speaking with the correct people and actually having a close group of friends that you can rely on to be there for you, because there have been bad times, and I'm sure there's still some bad times ahead, which is again awful to say, but hopefully there's light in the tunnel. But at the same time, there's still be a long way before things go back to normal. Personally, yeah, you do question. As sad as it is, you do question what your purpose is. I've sat at home, not got a job, thinking to myself, what do I do? Who do I talk to? And luckily, I've got some good friends. I have got very good friends who can bounce off, but at the same time, they have their problems as well. So you don't want to burden them with all your thoughts and what have you. But no, I think again, like you say, it's just that interaction with people, even now when you go to a shop, you can't actually interact with people because you can't see that. You can see that by your face.
Yeah.
There's no facial expressions. You're literally just talking to that. Even when you're smiling, you can only tell by your wrinkle. Well, my wrinkles on my eyes, but that's all you can do. It's so difficult. And like even watching TV, you watch TV from programs from a while back, and it seems bizarre that there's crowds of people. From looking back, and actually, your first thought now is they're not social distancing, which is bizarre. Like, who'd have thought in 2020 and 2021 would we go, no, you can't stand more than 2 meters closer to anyone, or you can't go on.
I've watched a lot of films lately, and it's just the thought in your head, like they're cuddling each other, they're not social distancing. It's crazy, and the thoughts in your head. And like you said, Andy, it is crazy. And if you do sit and think about it too much, then it will get to you, and it'll get to you in the wrong ways. And it's just about how you deal with that. So yeah, that is a massive challenge for some people, because there is people that do live on their own, obviously have no family, no friends, and who are they going to share their feelings with? They're just going to bottle it up, and it's just going to get worse and worse. And for me, knowing that there is people out there feeling like that, it's a horrible thing, because if I feel like that, it's crazy. But to know that someone else, and there's nothing you can do about it, really. So obviously the purpose of this is to try and get people to realise that there is, even if they have no friends and family, to get out there and just speak to. There's people like us, the foundation. There's other places that you can go and speak to, just to for some help, really. So Ben, what about you? What's been your biggest challenge?
I think, similar to what everyone's touched on, but I think just adapting to the new normality, like you say, you get so used taking things for granted. For me, I was out a lot of the weekends. I was seeing my mates. I was doing things, and I think you don't think about it at all until it's taken away from you, and then once it's gone, I think I've had times where I just sat there just thinking about things that I used to do, and you didn't appreciate it enough at all, and just seeing them, and it wasn't always having to open up to each other to feel better. It just spending time with each other, just seeing each other, just things to take your mind off of it. And all them situations now, you can't go and do that. You can't, just as simple as going for a kickabout with your mates in the field. That's quite often enough to clear your head, and to improve your mood, and to come home feeling much better about things. So I think not being able to do any of that for me was something that it took me a while to adapt to.
Yeah.
I think I was all right for the first lockdown, the majority of it, because I was working 40, 50 hours a week, so it just kept me so busy that but once I started to realize that I wasn't seeing anyone other than the people at work, it was starting to break me down a little bit. I think luckily that period over the summer where restrictions were eased a bit, it kind of came at a good time, allowed me to see people again, and I think that helped, and that made me realize the impact of being alone, and why it's so important to go out and see people, because once I was able to see my friends and my family again, it made such a massive difference to how I felt. And I think there'll be so many people in the same boat as when this third lockdown started. It's a big here we go again kind of thing, but hits you harder because I think everyone was so looking forward to 2021 as a fresh start kind of thing, and we haven't got that. So it's about finding ways around it now, and like you say, speaking to the right people, because when we do get there, it'll be worth it in the end. It's just trying to keep that in your back of your mind, and keep going forward, which is the bit that everyone's struggling with now, I think.
100% agree with that, Ben. And you touched on it there a little bit, Ben. So you said finding ways around it, and Andy, you touched on motivation, and Kirsty obviously opening up a little bit. So talked about challenges. So how would you say you've now overcome them? So obviously in lockdown 3, from the first lockdown, everyone didn't know what to do. Obviously Zoom were introduced to everyone, which is obviously what we're using now. It was the new norm to see each other, and obviously have little house parties in your own house, seeing each other, having a drink. quizzes, etc., workouts. So if there is someone out there that is struggling with challenges mentally and physically, what sort of things have you put in place to overcome them challenges? Ben, we'll go back to you if that's all right.
Yeah, so I tried to get some organisation in my life. I think going into working a lot helped force me to do that, because I had limited time on my hands. I still had uni work and stuff. So I used to be very unorganised, like going through school and stuff. And I just kind of, I'll get to that when I get to it and stuff. And I think I sat down after, I'd worked a long day, and then I had half of a uni essay to finish that night. And I think I got to the end of that night and thought, I need to get control of this a bit. So kind of scheduling my time into the right thing. So I reached out to people and said, let's have a call at this time every week, kind of thing. So we made that a thing. And I know a lot of people have done that, but just having that thing to look forward to, and waking up on a morning and looking at my schedule and going, right, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do that. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to do this. But I think just having some organisation in my life, otherwise it was just, it'd get easy to just, say, nah, I can't be bothered with that. I'm not going to do that. But just getting some structure helped me massively to keep on top of things.
For me, the first lockdown, I'm used to seeing hundreds of people every week with my job. And for me, I can remember being sat at home and I was trying to do something on my laptop and it just started doing updates. And I had to do something by a specific time, and I'm really good at timekeeping. And I remember just sitting there and just starting to cry, and my other half was like, "Are you all right?" I was like, I couldn't explain what was happening. I was just upset, and then I was happy, and then it just because I couldn't do something on my laptop, and that definitely weren't like me. So same with myself, Ben, as you. I started to use my diary a little bit more, schedule things in so they're at certain times. And keep that kind of mind focus on, right, I'm doing this and then I'm doing this, rather than sitting there all day thinking, I need to do this, but when am I going to do that? That's one of the things that definitely worked for me, Ben. And I'm not saying I don't sit and cry on my laptop now, because that does happen occasionally. But that's definitely one thing that's worked for me. What about yourself, Andy? What have you feel like it's worked at overcoming challenges, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it has been difficult, and like you both said, I think the lockdowns have made a massive reset on people. I think we've become more organised. I think people have used the time productively. In some instances, I think that people have decorated houses 4 or 5 times now. Even that, the first lockdown actually did affect me, but at the same time, because the weather was nice, you could actually sit in the sun and actually enjoy it, just a bit of time.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you could sit in the garden and read a book, whereas now it's cold and dark outside. I know there's been a bit of snow and people have been out snowball fighting and building snowmans, but the first lockdown was a big challenge that way, but it had its ups, it had its pluses as well. People, like I said, reorganise themselves. Personally, I say I love coaching the Bells. I find it a challenge, especially Kirsty. She's a massive challenge. But I found it a challenge, and I love doing it. I love going with their training from about 7:30 till about 10 o'clock some days. So just that, it's a release. It's your release, and you need that. Whether it's be coaching, whether it's be taking part in training, you need that release. And like I say, if you can't get that, then it is difficult. But then you have to have that release another way, and hopefully your friends can do that for you. But like now, I think the most frustrating thing for me was the tiering system, and I don't want to get into all the politics of the government, but just the fact that we were locked in a tier 3, and you're not allowed to leave that. Well, you shouldn't leave that tier 3, and then you see tier 2s and tier 1s mixing and mingling. I think that was difficult. I think that was the most difficult part. How is it fair that one part of the country was mingling and socialising when we're locked out? And now looking back on it, it's actually backfired. So
definitely. I mean, like, we've all got social media, and if you're sat at home in tier 3 not being able to do anything, you've got friends who live elsewhere, they're going to the pub with their friends, I've got some friends in Australia, and they're just obviously going out and doing whatever they want. So yeah, that's one thing that does get to you. Social media has a massive impact on everybody's life, and especially now with people at home, not a lot to do. They're flicking through, thinking, I should be doing this. This is how my life should be. So now more than ever, people are comparing themselves to other people, and it's going to have a massive effect on everybody.
Yeah, I think social media works both ways as well. I
Yeah.
think it can be a positive as well.
Yeah.
I think like now, if you're looking here now, you can actually reach out to people and reach out to yourself and the foundation, if on Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media, you can actually reach out. I think that's actually it works as a positive as well as a negative by seeing, say, influencers and that in Dubai. But at the same time, you're looking and now, and you can actually use you lot as someone to speak to. I think it's huge. I think it's so good that the club and yourselves all do this, because it does impact a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Kirsty, challenges? How have you overcome?
Yeah, I mean, going off of that with social media and things, I never thought for 1 minute in my life that I'd be getting on a Zoom and actually going outside of my comfort zone and actually doing a workout. I just thought it was just never for me. But obviously, with this lockdown, I've had to find new ways and get creative. I like to think that I'm motivated anyways, but it's been hard to keep that motivation up because it's been so repetitive of doing the same thing, and I'm doing it alone. So it's all good. I'll do some weights in the garage and I'll go on a run. Everything is alone. So then I went outside my comfort zone and did these, the Fit Rovers Zooms and went on those, and I absolutely love them. And not just the workout, just socializing, seeing different faces on the screen. It's nice to do that. So I think the first lockdown for me, it kind of just seemed to just breeze by because obviously we were really motivated. We were training, obviously keeping us training up as a team. And then we got to Christmas. We had that bit of a Christmas break and obviously training again and raring to go. And then wham, it just hits you that we were in lockdown again. So I think for me, it's finding different ways other than what I'm doing to keep going. So if if I go on a walk or anything, just something different that's not the same thing that I'm doing day in, day out. Like I said, getting on Zooms, using social media, I feel like it becomes repetitive, and that's what kind of makes you feel a bit fed up. At least it does for me anyways.
So we've touched a little bit on what you've been doing, Kirsty, during lockdown, getting out your comfort zone, getting on a few Zoom sessions. So what have you guys been doing during lockdown to keep you not only physically active but mentally active as well? Any ideas that you can give people out there that might work, Andy?
Well, I've been fortunate with football for it to carry on. So physically wise, I use that. But when maybe on my days off, I'll go out on my bike, my road bike, stick a podcast on, listen to other people's how they've done it, adapted to life, and little motivational things. I'm a pretty positive person. I love listening to people's stories, and just picking bits up just so I can take that. So when, like you say, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I can use them bits of information, bits of knowledge I've picked up from books and courses and things like that to actually help me once this is all in the past. So that's what I do. Like I say, I'm lucky that my job's still going. But even in a job situation, it's a weird time. Like you think football's all sparkly and everything, but it's not. We get in there training, not allowed in the training ground until 10 o'clock. Once we're in training, we're allowed a 10-minute meeting. Then we're outside the building training, and even like just showering, you can't shower. You literally have to finish training and leave. We get tested every few days, so it's not all roses. It's actually quite strict and quite like it is bizarre. To be fair, it's like it's never been heard of and never been done before, and it's not the football that you think. I want all the players. I know players get bad press about celebrations and stuff like that, but again, that's just a release. You can't help that. And that's what I find hard on the pitch when you do score and you are lucky enough to score and celebrate. You can't actually go over and hug someone. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
it really is. I mean, a lot of players get bad press and that for doing it, but you get lost in the moment. And like you say, it's a joyful release. You don't want to just think, hang on a minute, I've scored. Let's keep your distances. And I know we should doing that, but at the same time, you have to have that little bit release. And yeah, I can see why people do get down, and you do have to reach out. You really do. I reached out to my teammates during when I didn't have a job. I spoke to a lot of Doncaster Rovers players. I'm very good friends with them all, and they helped me through it. And they kept talking to me, saying, "Oh, your chance will come. Your chance will come. Just keep fit." And I said, lucky enough, when I walked back into the change room, it was like I'd never been away. Which I'll tell you, the first game I played against Northampton. My last game was just before lockdown with Scunthorpe, and obviously that happened. And I hadn't played until Northampton in November. The first game back, the gaffer said to me after the game, the old players clapped me. Even at like 37 years old, I nearly started crying. I actually had tears in my eyes because that's how much it meant, and that's how much of a release it was. I nearly started crying, and I couldn't stop smiling, and it felt strange, but at the same time, that's my release from all this situation. And you know what, I could probably cry now, but I'm not. But yeah, like I say, yeah, those people around those people around me, and people that are in my close circle mean so much to me, and I'll do anything for them.
That do you know what? You're nearly making me cry now, Andy. That's amazing. And you are back where you belong now, and you're staying. So, Ben, we'll move over to yourself. So, what sort of stuff you've been doing during lockdown to keep you mentally and physically active?
So again, I mean, before we went into full lockdown, when it was tier 3 and below and everything, I was playing golf quite a lot. It's not something I'd ever done before, but I took it up. Started going to the driving range, and I don't know, I found it a real good release. And I was playing 2-3 times a week when I wasn't working, because I found it a real good way. And then other than that, I was, there's a couple of throwing clubs and snap clubs and that, but other than that, it was fairly positive and relaxing. And then, road running is something I didn't used to do a lot of, because fitness was always quite good for me. It was the size itself, so I used to focus on the gym and lifting, but obviously not being able to do that, I got back into running and riding a lot and just going out on walks. And I think what was big for me, and something I'd recommend to people my age and younger that are still living with family and with parents, is make the most of that opportunity. I think it's similar again about taking things for granted, but you don't realize when you live in your normal life. I live with my parents, but I didn't see much of them. I was working, they were working. You come home, you do your own thing, and then you go to bed, and and you're busy at the weekend seeing friends and that, and you don't actually see much of them. So it was a great opportunity to spend nights, doing fun things in house at weekend, going out on long walks and rides together, something that you wouldn't usually make time for. But I think I've had that opportunity to spend more time with my mum and dad. Like I say, I think they're bored of me now, but at the time they enjoyed it. I know they did. And I think, I really enjoyed that opportunity to do more with them, because like you say, when you live in your normal lives before all of this, you don't realize how little you actually see of each other, even though you're living in the same house. So I had that opportunity to spend time with them and catch up with them, and you remember how important it is to see them and how supportive they are. That was really beneficial to me, to spend more time with them, to be able to open up and talk to them more than I realized that I could. I think that whole thing of thinking, I've turned 20 now, I need to just be a man, kind of, that kind of thing, and to realize that that's just the way it's portrayed, but you still have to talk about things, and whether that's with your friends or with your family, it's so important. And I realized that, I think, because during the third lockdown in January, I had my birthday, and I think that's when just not being able to see anyone then, family and friends, not what I'd expected to be able to go out, have a good night, see all my friends and family. And I think that was weird, because on my birthday I was just sat at home, and it was just a bit deflating that day. I think I had a bit of a wobble that day, where I was like, that was the first day where I was really like, this is crap. And then having that ability then to go and speak to my parents, and they were like, and just supportive and got me through it. And I realised that, 10 months into lockdown, almost everyone's had that lockdown birthday now. Yeah. I mean, back in March and April at the beginning, I thought, there'll be no way that'll affect me.
Yeah.
It took the mick out of people who it did affect at the time a little bit, and then it came to me and it was still the same. So I guess I got a bit of karma there for taking the mick out of people early on. But yeah, that was the first day I'd had a proper wobble, because it just so strange of an experience. But yeah, like I say, for people my age and younger, definitely spending more time with your family. If you're still living with them, make the most of that. You don't realise how lucky you are. So yeah, make the most of that, definitely.
So, and there are a lot of people out there that obviously, unfortunately, haven't had the opportunity or don't have the opportunity to spend time with friends or family. But there are a lot of things out there. The foundation have got a social isolation project, tackling loneliness. So we try and reach as many people as possible, phone calls, delivering care packages. We've got Zoom workouts every week, which Kirsty and Andy have both been regulars on. In fact, I can't get Andy Butler away. So Ben, you're gonna have to, if you're free on a Wednesday or Thursday, you're gonna have to join in. We've got something like that. We've got quizzes, which are, again, you can just see everyone. It's not the same as obviously being face to face, but, and Kirsty touched on it as well earlier, going on a Zoom workout, yeah, it's out your comfort zone, but you can turn your camera off, you can still see everyone else. So for me, like, I'm used to teaching a class with 100 people on a Thursday night, and obviously last Wednesday, we managed to get 109 just on Zoom. For me to stand there and look at my TV and see 109 people there, I'm like Andy, I nearly cried. Then I can still feel a little bit of a connection. Obviously, they're not there physically, but in my head, that's keeping me going, keeping me mentally active and obviously physically active as well, doing the workouts and stuff like that. So you can chat to people. A phone call doesn't hurt, so just checking in on people and things like that. So there are different ways that we can obviously cope with stuff that obviously we can't, that we're bottling up and we can't deal with day to day. There's something called like a gratitude jar. So everything that you're thankful for. So if something, the postman might knock on your door, and instead of chucking your parcel on the floor, it'll pass you it. I know obviously at the minute you're kind of leaving it on the floor and taking a picture, but it's stuff like that. Oh, I'm really thankful that the postman didn't chuck my parcel on the floor today, and put it in a little jar. At the end of the month or whatever, you open it up and you look at the things, and if you're feeling down, if something silly like that that made you smile that day, reading that might make you put a little smile on your face maybe, or just something like that. So there are lots of different ways. Right, guys, just last question from me. Do you think it's important to talk about how you're feeling, not only if you're feeling obviously down, but if you're feeling good as well? And why do you think it's important? Just for both ways, really. Kirsty, we'll go to yourself.
I think it's massively important. Like I was saying, it's something that I didn't do enough of, and this lockdown and obviously the previous lockdowns has made me realise that I need to communicate a bit more about, especially when it comes to feelings wise. And it's not that I didn't ask people before all this how they were doing. It's now more of an effort to ask, like consciously think about, hang on a minute, are you all right? And have that conversation. I was saying the other day, people just want your time now, and it's just about giving them 5 or 10 minutes conversation just to vent or talk about random things. And I didn't realize how important that was until everything slowed down. Obviously, I'm not as busy and on the go as I normally am, and realize, hang on a minute, I need people's time to listen to me, but I also need to listen to them and make more of an effort to ask how they're doing. Not, like I said, not that I didn't before, but it's like it's come to the front of everything. And like I said, when things slow down, you're actually realizing, hang on a minute, you've got to have those conversations, you've got to get it out and let it out in order just to have that release, because people don't have that release. It might have been football example for us. That's my release, and that's stopped. And it might have been something else, work for somebody else, and now they have to work from home, so they don't have that release. So I think it's massive. I think you should definitely make an effort to open up and just chat about things.
Ben?
Yeah, I think similarly to what you said, I think it's massively important, more so than ever during this. I say I often ask my friends if they're all right. I check up on them. But I think now it's more of a case of, it's a double check. It's not just a question. It's because we're all in the same situation, but people deal with it in such different ways. And you have to be able to appreciate that, you might be having a good day, but someone else might be having really struggling having a really bad day. So just asking your friends, like you say, are you okay? And it's the same again, do they want to talk about it, or do they want to vent? I'm happy to sit there and listen to someone reel off things for 10 minutes if that's what they need, just to get it out. And I think it's massively important that you realize, like I say, that even on your best day, you don't know what your friends or other people are going through. So it's so important to keep checking up on people, because you would 100% want someone to appreciate how you're feeling the other way around when you're having a bad day. So I think it's so important to realize that no matter what, keep checking up on people and let them have an opportunity to talk, because you would want that opportunity in return.
Andy?
Yeah, again, everyone talks about being there for when people are on the lows, but at the same time, if you are at a high and you have had a good day, and you more than welcome to share that, because I think good moods and laughter are infectious. I think if someone starts laughing, your initial reaction is to laugh with them, and that's a way around it. Sometimes laughter is a good healer. There's no better than just even a fart noise just makes you laugh. Even thought of it. See what I mean? Even just a sharing, just something silly, it's infectious, and that's what we have to be thankful for. That we can still, even in dark times like are now, still be there for each other and make each other smile. Because if we don't, and we're constantly talking about how bad times are and how bad your day is, and how bad my day is, then it soon buries you. So at the same time, speak that you've had a good day. Tell someone, because they might have had a good day, but they're just afraid to tell you in case they think you're feeling down. So I like I say, I'm a positive person, and I enjoy making people laugh. I really do. It's you have to. Otherwise, it's just like I say, the world just comes in on you. People do have bad days, and yes, they do. But people have good days as well. I mean, let's celebrate the good days. There's not been many of them, so when we do feel good, let's tell people we feel good. Not brag about it, but just share. Because like I said, if I'm saying I'm happy, then instantly, if I've got a smile on my face, you're looking back at me with a smile on my face. If I'm sat here like that, more likely you're going to think, oh, he's had a bad day, so I'm not going to tell him about my good day. So it works both ways. I think we can all share bad experiences and also share good experiences and good times, because let's be honest, we've not had any good times really over the last year. So if there's something that's brightened your day, it might brighten their day up as well.
Definitely. And we don't know what's going to happen. We thought obviously 2021 we're going to be back to normal, and obviously then it's happened again, lockdown. So the one thing that I would say is set yourself little goals throughout the week, the day, the month. Move more. So 30 minutes of exercise a day. Get out and go for a walk. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 5 minutes. Get some fresh air. Just read a book, do a puzzle, trying to keep yourself busy, try and not sit down for too long. Don't read the news, watch the news too much. Just little things like that can go a long way really and help you feel a little bit better. Talk to someone, especially obviously this is what we're trying to get across today. So if there is anyone out there that does want to talk to someone or does need a little bit of help, please contact us at the foundation. We'll be more than happy to try and help you. And I just want to say thank you to Kirsty, Ben and Andy today for your time and obviously your words, even if Andy is mentioning fart noises, which definitely made me smile. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for your time. And here's to hoping that we come out of lockdown soon and good things do start to happen. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Kirsty.
Yes, thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you, Lauren. Cheers, Ben.